Hello, everybody. Welcome to another one of San Mateo County Library's STEAM camps for the summer. I'm Alice, and I'm a librarian for the Portola Valley and the Woodside Libraries. And like always, I'm so happy to be back here with you. I hope you've been having a really fun summer and staying safe and doing lots of interesting things. I also hope you've signed up for our Summer Learning Challenge. And if you haven't yet, or if you've forgotten all the details about it, you can learn more at summerlearners.org. So this is a STEAM camp, and my favorite part, one of my favorite parts, I love all the parts of STEAM, but the one that really grabs me is that M. Do you remember what that M stands for? Math. And I love math because it's got art in it and you can create things using math. And so today we're going to be doing an activity from the Bay Area Discovery Museum using origami to look at different shapes. But before we get going with that, I want to warm up our bodies a little bit because my brain always thinks a little bit better if my body's warmed up. So I thought we could do something because we're going to be using shapes. I thought we could do something where we make some shapes with our bodies. So let's all stand up if we're able to. And can anybody think of a shape? The first one that I think of is a circle, maybe because I have a circle thing on my shirt. Now, I wonder, is there a way that you can think of to make a circle out of your body? What if you try with your arms, sort of like a ballet dancer? If I bend down, you can see it above me. That's kind of a circle, isn't it? Can you think of a way to make a smaller circle with your body? Maybe you could try, I was thinking with my hands, I would try making a circle that way. A little blobby circle, but that's okay. Can you think of a way to make a circle with your whole body? Maybe you're super flexible, you can bend all the way over, or you could maybe try curling up into a ball. Can you think of any other ways to make a circle? Go ahead and try them now. All right, can you think of any other shapes that you would want to try to make out of your body? I was thinking a square might be kind of fun because I like squares because they're really special. Squares are great because they have all the same length sides and all the same size angles. So they might be kind of hard to make with our bodies. Let's see. Maybe we can try with our hands like we did with the circle. Can we do a square that way? It's sort of a funny diamond, isn't it? We could try sort of crossing that. It's a little hard. I wonder if it would be easier to make a square if you did it with somebody else. Can you think of a way where you could collaborate or join in with somebody who's with you to make a square together? Maybe you could try with your arms, or maybe if you're flexible enough to get your legs, you sit on the floor and stretch out your legs, give that a try and see if that works. Give one more moment to try and think of one other way you could make a square. Okay, I want to try one more shape. And the last shape I want to try is a triangle. And I love triangles a lot because triangles come in all kinds of different proportions with different angles. They can have acute angles, which are the little teeny tiny angles. They can have obtuse angles, which are the super big wide ones, or they can have right angles, which are the ones right in between, just like you would find on a square or a rectangle. So let's think about maybe a way that we could try making a triangle with our bodies. And I almost slipped and said hands. So let's try with our hands. Maybe we could do it like that. That's a lot easier than a rectangle or a square, isn't it? Well, you can see it a lot better that way. Maybe you can think of another way to make a triangle with your hands. Try just with your hands to make another kind of triangle. Nice. I think some of you figured out a way. I wonder what other ways could I make a triangle with my body? I just realized I did it kind of by accident. I have one right here. Cool. All right, and then think of a way that you can make a triangle with that other person with you if you have someone else with you. Or if you're alone, you can just try another way by yourself. right? You guys did fantastic. You're so creative. Let's go ahead and shake our bodies out a little bit and have a seat. My brain is definitely a little more awake now that I've used my body. So, like I said, we're going to be doing some things with shapes, and we're going to be looking at origami as a way to do that. And you've probably heard of origami. It's this Japanese art form, and it's actually one of my favorite kinds of art. And it is really old. It's been around for a long time. Probably the most famous origami design is the paper crane. Somebody made this one for me to say thank you for something, and I like to keep it close. But there are all kinds of different origami designs, and there are actually people who are professional origami artists. And a lot of those people are mathematicians, people who study math for a living too. And it really helps to understand math if you do origami, because it's all made up of shapes. It really helps to understand how all those shapes can fit together when you're doing lots and lots of little complicated folds. So we're going to make something. We're not going to make a paper crane today. I have a different thing we're going to make, which is a bookmark out of origami, because I thought that's nice and practical, and it has some good shapes in it too. And it's a design I got from the Bay Area Discovery Museum. So to do this activity, we are going to need either one thing or a few things, depending what you have. So you'll need some paper. Now you can use origami paper. Oh, an important thing I forgot to say about origami is that it is always done with a square piece of paper. And any design you make that is really truly origami is going to be done by just folding it and not cutting it or tearing it at all. It's just about how you fold the paper. But you have to start with a square piece. So if you have what they sell as origami paper, that's square, and that's wonderful. But if you don't have that, I can show you how to make a square out of any regular rectangle piece of paper. So go ahead and grab that. And if you have a rectangle piece of paper, you might also want some scissors and a marker or pencil or something to write with. And once you have those, I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. So I have how to make an origami bookmark, and as promised, there we go. We're going to start by making a square. So you start with a plain piece of paper. And if you watched my tangram activity, it's actually exactly the same thing we did for that one. So what we do is you take the top corner of that square and you fold it over to the side so that the top edge lines up with the side of the paper. You'll have a long diagonal fold across. And this picture is a little funny, but this should be a rectangle that looks these two sides the same and these two sides the same. And then you can draw a line along the edge of it where you folded. And then you can go ahead and unfold it and cut along that line, and voila, you have a square. So now that you have your square, let's take a look. I actually have a little video I made because it's really hard for you to see me folding up here. So I filmed myself making this bookmark. And I'm going to talk through what I'm doing here. So let's go ahead and hit play. So I started with this square. And on origami paper, it's kind of nice because you have a white side and a colored side. So we're going to go ahead and fold it on a diagonal. And if you made your own square, it's actually really easy to do this step because you already have an existing crease. And now you can see I have 1, 2, 3 corners, and there were 3 sides. So what shape does that make? It's a triangle. So next, we are going to take one of the acute corners of the triangle and fold it up to the top here. Just like that. And I think this makes a really interesting shape. So let's take a look at it. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. I wonder how many corners or angles it has on it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. But does it look like a square? Not really. It has, that looks like an obtuse angle there, where it would need a line there to be a square. So it's not a square and it's not really a rectangle, but it does have 4 sides. I think that's kind of interesting. Now we're going to move on to the next step. So we're going to do almost exactly what we just did. We'll take the little acute angle and fold it up to the top here. All right, and I'm always really careful when I do origami because it comes out best if you're really precise with your folds. All right, now what shape do we have here? To hold it down a little bit to see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. That's interesting. So it looks like we ended up with another square. Those angles all look kind of the same and the sides look kind of the same, right? If I really wanted to check, I would measure it. But I think we can eyeball it close enough right now. It looks pretty square. All right. Oh, and we also have 2 other shapes here. We have triangles, it looks like. Go ahead and count those sides and double check. So we're going to go ahead and unfold. And I actually think this shape is really interesting too, because you can see where our folds were. We have different sections. I see 3 different sections that are kind of different shapes. So I wonder if you can take a look and try to figure out by maybe counting the sides, how many, what shape those are, and maybe count the sides of that one. See how many how many sides there are and what shape it is. All right. So we'll go ahead and do the next step, which is we're going to take just one layer, just the top layer of your triangle, and fold that point down to where those folds are at the bottom of your triangle. And then you're going to go ahead and crease it. And then let's take a look at the shapes again. Now instead of, before I had, these 2 triangles are the same, but before I bet you figured out that it was a square, right? What 2 shapes do you see now? Because it's been divided in half. Looks like 2 triangles. All right, we're going to take that little acute corner now, and we're going to fold it in to that same point where we folded that right angle corner. And I think this shape is really interesting too. And I actually thought I might turn it over so I could see the whole shape a little bit better. So let's count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. How many corners do you think it'll have if it has 4 sides? Go ahead and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. All right. So that's really not a square, is it? Because it has that acute angle there, and it has an obtuse angle opposite, and it's got angles all over the place. But it's kind of a cool shape. So now you're going to go ahead and do the other side the same way you folded that one. Take the little corner and fold it in to the middle. And it got a little crinkly when I did it, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter that much. And I wanted to count the sides. How many sides do you think this one has? Let's go ahead and count. That's kind of a cool shape. I counted 5 sides. All right. So now, when I unfolded them, I noticed that there are much smaller triangles, which I think is kind of fun, that we can keep dividing it up, but we still get the same shape. So now I want you to take a look and notice that there's sort of a pocket. What you're going to do is you're going to fold one corner up and tuck it inside of that pocket. So it nestles all the way inside. And then go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And if you want to pause and notice the shapes, go ahead and do that. So you fold the corner up and then tuck it inside the pocket. And that is your finished bookmark. It has a nice little pocket. All right, and go ahead and take a look and see what shape it ended up as. Count the sides and the corners. Look at any other shapes that might be in it, the lines that go through it. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this, and we'll look at the real thing. So I have it here, and I noticed that when I look at it from this side, it really just looks like a square. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. If I flip it over, it's so much more complicated. It has lots of different shapes. It has 1, 2, 3 different shapes, and each of them has 1, 2, 3 sides. It makes me really excited to see it. All right. And I also wanted to take a look at what it looks like to use it as a bookmark. I'm just going to put it on the cover of my book here. This is one of my origami books that I have at home by John Montrell, who I think is a fantastic origami artist, and I think he is a mathematician. So the way this bookmark works is you have your little pocket here. So you just take it whenever you want to mark your page and you slide it on. And now I want to notice something when I do that. I have a square, but then if I slide it on here, it's like magic. I have a triangle. That's so cool. But if I turn the page, I have a square again. All right, I only have time to make this one origami creation with you, but I hope that you've been inspired to go and make some more. Attached to the description for this activity, I made a list of some origami books you can get from the library. Some of them are physical books, some of them are some that you can get online. You can also just Google origami and loads of patterns will come up because so many people love doing origami. So I hope that you'll keep doing it, and I hope you'll keep paying attention to the shapes that you make when you do origami, because I think it's so interesting to understand how the models fit together. So it was really great to do an activity with you, and hopefully you'll come and join us again tomorrow for more STEAM Camp activities from San Mateo County Libraries.